The demons in Davos were certainly not very happy last week. They watched their entire globalist world order that they've been building for the last 4 decades implode in real time. But to add insult to injury, one world leader got up and did the unthinkable. He openly defended Donald Trump. He actually called out Europe for freeloading off of American power, and he sided with America first right to their faces. As the champagne socialists and corporate oligarchs shifted uncomfortably in their seats, this former street-fighting hooligan turned Polish president calmly reminded them that the United States is the undisputed champion of the West, and the rising nationalist populist Europe is done pretending weakness is a strategy. What you're about to see is the moment the Davos elite realize their grip on Europe is slipping, and that a new nationalist alliance led by Trump and his fiercest allies is rising. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, celebrating yet another day in Trump's golden age that you made possible back in November of 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. One quick programming note here. Because of all the snow we got on the East Coast, we've moved our Lancaster Academy of the Performing Arts event to next Monday night, February 2nd, 7 p.m. This conversation on the revitalization of Christian art and civilization is worth doing right, and it's worth the wait. I know we already have a packed house. It was supposed to be for tonight, but we'll just postpone it for 1 week, so make sure to join us for an evening that truly matters. Click the link in the description for more details. Meet Karol Nawrocki, the president of Poland. This guy's story reads like a movie script. He wasn't born into wealth. He wasn't part of the European bureaucratic elite. He was born to a poor family in Gdańsk, the same city where the Solidarity movement brought down Soviet communism. He grew up in communist-era concrete apartment blocks. He was an amateur boxing champion who worked hotel security. And here's where it gets interesting. He participated in organized football hooligan brawls. I kid you not. We're talking like 70-person gang fights between rival soccer fans that lasted over like 6 minutes and were prearranged like something out of Fight Club. Well, Nawrocki didn't stay on the streets. He earned a PhD in humanities. He became a historian specializing in anti-communist resistance movements, and he eventually ran Poland's Institute of National Remembrance. That's the government body that investigates Nazi and communist-era crimes. He directed the Museum of World War II in Gdańsk and authored, 7 books? This is a guy who understands what tyranny looks like because he lived it, and he's promised that it will never be allowed to come close to the continent of Europe ever again. And in May of 2025, he got his wish. He was running for president of Poland, and President Trump actually invited Nawrocki, who had never held political office before, to the White House. Trump looked him in the eye and said, "You're going to win. You're going to do this." And you know what the European establishment did? They flipped out. They lost their minds. The media they literally called it election interference. They said it was unprecedented. They said Trump was undermining European democracy. I kid you not. But 1 month later, on June 1st, Karol Nawrocki won Poland's presidency. American flags were waving at his victory rallies. His supporters chanted that he would restore greatness to Poland the same way Trump restored it to America. And then came September 3rd of last year. Nawrocki returned triumphant to the White House, this time as the elected president of Poland, and Trump rolled out the red carpet like you've never seen. 8 fighter jets, 4 F-16s in a missing man formation honoring a fallen Polish pilot, and 4 F-35s representing the unbreakable bond between our nations. The jets screamed over the White House while Trump gave Nawrocki a hearty slap on the shoulder and said, "We're with Poland all the way." Now, fast forward to last week, the World Economic Forum in Davos, the annual gathering of globalist elites who once thought they ran the world. But the major shadow that was cast over that meeting came from European leaders absolutely furious at Trump over Greenland. Macron, Merz. In fact, Denmark actually boycotted Davos. They refused to come after Davos sent out an invitation to a Greenland delegation, treating them as if they were already independent. Denmark was furious. The European Parliament threatened to halt all trade deals with America. I mean, it was pretty intense. And then Karol Nawrocki, the president of Poland, stepped up to the microphone. And instead of joining the chorus against Trump, he did something that shocked the entire room. But first, while these champagne socialists are living the high life, often from your tax dollars, I know a lot of you are feeling the financial squeeze right now. I mean, everything costs more, but paychecks haven't gone up. And honestly, I mean, the usual advice of, just get a second job. It's not realistic for most of us. So I want to share something absolutely amazing that I've discovered. I'm so excited about this. It's what I call a ghost economy in the online book market. It's a $2.7 billion, you heard that right, billion with a B, industry that most people have absolutely no idea it exists. That's why I call it a ghost industry. And here's how it works. It's actually amazing, and it's simple. The online book market is incredibly fragmented. So the same book can be priced at $5 on one website and $65 on another, simply because these platforms don't communicate with each other. People who understand this are quietly supplementing their income by identifying these price differences. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get rich overnight. That's not what this is about. But what if you could bring in some pretty significant extra money each month, working straight from your laptop in your spare time? I'm talking, real money that could help with bills, pay down debt, or just give you some financial breathing room. And the amazing part here is that you never actually handle any physical books. Everything happens completely online, digitally, through existing platforms. You just need to know where to look and how the system works. That's it. That's why I'm hosting a free training where you can see exactly how this works. You'll see the specific websites, the process for finding these price gaps, and how to get started immediately. Look, I know there are a lot of, empty promises out there, to say the least. Gang, trust me, this isn't that. It's a real market inefficiency that exists right now, and I want you to learn how it works so we can all financially flourish. If you're tired of financial stress and want to explore a practical way to earn extra income, just click on that link below to register for the training, or go to bkprofit.com/Turley. That's bkprofit.com/Turley.
Security in Europe. You've turned the term to the Greenland dispute, and again, this was a comment that I understand you made last week, a matter between the Danish Prime Minister and President Trump. Just briefly, do you still stand by that after everything that you've seen in the past days and weeks?
Of course, United States of America are the most important Polish bilateral ally, but we also appreciate a lot NATO. We are the part of NATO, and we feel responsible for NATO. This is the biggest alliance in the history of 20th century. I think, like Mark Rutte, the NATO is stable, NATO is solidifying, but we of course recognize some problems about the Greenland. And I'm looking at the problem of Greenland from the strategic side. We have Chinese, we have Russian. We feel in Poland Russian threat for 3 centuries even, and we understand it at all in eastern flank of NATO. And if we consider, ladies and gentlemen, that global GDP is consisted of 15% of European Union involvement and 15% of United States of America involvement, but according in terms of security, United States of America paying 65% for NATO and Europeans 35%, we have to consider what Donald Trump would like to say about the security, because he's responsible for security of the world as the leader, and he would like to support.
Do you really think you can stay out of this? Do you really think you can stay out of this row? Do you really think that, isn't this the moment right now for solidarity in Europe? Isn't this key to a united and a strong response?
there is the necessity of solidarity in Europe, but there is also the necessity of building the good transatlantic relations. And I think that transatlantic relations are very important. We know in Europe, me know, Alex, all my European friends knows how many mistakes had Europe done after and before 2022. And Donald Trump tried to convince our European partners that we have to solidify. And his voice is very important because of the financial, because of the strategic, geopolitical point of view. I, of course, hope that it will be solved thanks to all partners on the way, the diplomatic way. And I'm rather...
How far are you willing to go?
So he defended him. In the midst of all the anger from all those European leaders at Trump, Nawrocki defended him, even on Greenland. And despite the best efforts of that annoying liberal activist disguised as a journalist, Nawrocki made it clear that if the United States pays 65% for NATO, while Europe only pays 35%, then we, at the European leaders, at the very least, have to take Trump seriously when he's talking about security. He is, after all, the leader of the free world. And you do not, when he is paying 65% of NATO's bills, you do not dismiss this man when he opens his mouth. Europeans have a responsibility to listen with great care and consideration to what Trump wants to do with the very security that America provides and that Europe takes advantage of. And so, as you just heard on Greenland, the issue that had every European leader clutching their pearls, Nawrocki refused to virtue signal. He said, look, I'm looking at the problem of Greenland from the vantage point of from the strategic side. We've got the Chinese, we've got Russian, we've got two major world powers in the Arctic region. And while Western Europe obsesses over Trump's tone, Poland understands the very real threats that a Russia-China-dominated Arctic means for the transatlantic as a whole, and that the ultimate threat to Europe is its own weakness, its own bureaucratic, procedural, administrative-induced weakness. Now, here's where the woke leftists in the legacy media, this is what they will not tell you. Poland isn't defending Trump because Nawrocki is some MAGA fanboy. Poland is defending Trump because Poland gets it. They spend 5% of their GDP on defense. That's the highest in NATO. They host 10,000 American troops. They've bought $4 billion worth of American weapons, F-35s, Abrams tanks, Javelins, HIMARS. And here's the kicker. Poland is building the military infrastructure to host our troops at zero cost to the United States. When's the last time Germany did that? Or France for that? When's the last time France offered to pay for American military presence? Poland fortified their border with Belarus using sensors and electronic surveillance, while Western European countries let millions of illegal migrants flood across their borders. Poland understands that borders matter. Sovereignty matters. And when you share a border with Russia and Belarus, you don't have the luxury of pretending weakness is a virtue. And this is what's driving the European establishment absolutely insane. There's a fault line forming in Europe between the East and the West. Western European leaders, Germany, France, Denmark, they're criticizing Trump over Greenland. But Eastern Europe, Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, they're either defending Trump or they're staying out of it entirely. Why? Because they've lived under tyranny. They know what Russian tanks rolling across your border looks like. They're not interested in virtue signaling about sovereignty when their own sovereignty depends on American military power. Hungary's Viktor Orban calls Greenland an in-house NATO issue. Nawrocki said it should be solved diplomatically and urged Western Europeans to tone down their objections. The message is clear. Stop lecturing America about how to defend the West when you won't even defend yourselves. So here's the bottom line. While Western Europe clutches its pearls over Trump's rhetoric, Poland is building the largest army in Central Europe, hosting American troops and buying billions in U.S. weapons. While globalists at Davos talk about new world orders and middle powers uniting, Poland's president is standing up and saying a new civilizationalist order is rising, and America is at the very center of that new order. Not Denmark, not France, no one else, America. Trump bet on a 42-year-old historian with a hooligan past. And as usual, Trump's bet paid off. Narodsky is actively reshaping Europe. A Western alliance of making Europe great again nations is in the works. And Poland is leading the way.